We are hearing that there is a deal in place, a Gaza ceasefire. It's within reach, and maybe it's even in place between Hamas and Israel, negotiating not only the release of the hostages and prisoner releases, but troop withdrawal from Gaza and aid entering the Gaza Strip. This is happening literally as we're talking here, and it's progressed since the show has started. To give us more and give an update on that, we have University of Utah law professor Amos Guiora joining us. Professor, thanks for joining us. And what can you tell us is the current status of the negotiations?
First of all, thank you for having me. It is, as you correctly note, I don't know, minute by minute, is that the right expression?
Yeah.
It's Thursday evening. It is expected that the hostages will be released Monday latest, maybe even Saturday, and in return for that, there will be indeed a release, as you said, of many Palestinian prisoners. And in addition to that, and it's all related and all equally important, obviously a withdrawal of the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, from part of Gaza. I don't think from all of Gaza, but as a step one in this very, very, very complicated process, which will be a long-term process. The most important things, speaking as an Israeli, are the release of the hostages and the ceasefire. And I think, obviously, from the perspective of Gazans, the partial withdrawal of the IDF and beginning, hopefully, for them also, turning the page in a new life under, obviously, beyond complicated circumstances, critical. The next steps, geopolitically, the rebuilding of Gaza, who will run Gaza, where does Hamas go, who will be the dominant party in Gaza. I think those are probably steps that have yet to be determined. But if this, what is called stage one, phase one, goes as smoothly as these things can be in the next 96 hours, it will be, I don't know if the word unimaginable, a good word, we'll go with that. My family will be 3 generations at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. I don't know if the word is celebrating, embracing the return hostages, take into consideration. Obviously, there are also dead hostages. I don't know if they'll be returned. The first stage is a little bit of question on that. But after 2 years of what is clearly a purposeless war, if this ends and we can begin the process of turning the page, critical. I think it's also important to note that 80% of Israelis support this. It was assumed that of that, it was 80%, 100% of us, and I'm putting myself obviously in that camp, understand that this only happened because of President Trump, who forced this on Prime Minister Netanyahu, who's going along with this kicking and screaming. Two parties in the government will vote against this, but he has enough outside support in a parliamentary system that this will pass. Hopefully, again, is one of those who has spoken at hostage rallies and gone from demonstration to demonstration. This is, for us as Israelis, this will give us the opportunity to catch our breath and then begin rebuilding our society, which is also less important than the other issues. But at the moment, the unimaginable of the hostages coming home, literally overwhelmingly unimaginable, which is too many adjectives, but that is, I think, captures the mood accurately.
So, Professor, as you suggest, the first step is critical because it involves the lives of the hostages. We expect that will be done by Monday, including the prisoner release from the Israeli jails and the hostage release from Hamas. What then happens? Let's, for this moment, hope and wish that goes successfully. Who do you see as the primary brokering agents for what we've been told over and over that the subsequent steps are still very broadly defined? Who do you see at the table defining the rest of what will come to be hopefully a long-held peace agreement?
Multiple parties, and in no particular order. President Trump, and I don't know if it's him personally or if it'll be, Steve Witkoff or Jared Kushner, who seems to be back in the fold on these issues. Clearly, Qatar is critical to this, and I think Netanyahu was caught off guard 2 weeks ago when President Trump forced Netanyahu to apologize for Qatar for the utterly idiotic Israeli attack on Qatar. I think they've been clearly strengthened and emboldened. I'm not exactly sure what will be the role of Egypt in this. Clearly, the Erdogan of Turkey wants to be involved in this. Multiple parties, and I know that former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair has offered his services to head up this board. I think that's the word that will begin the process of reconstructing Gaza. What will be the role of the Gazans? Absolutely essential. The Palestinian Authority, which is in control of the West Bank, has indicated they have no interest in being involved in this whatsoever. So this will have to be somebody from within Gaza, and hopefully there are forces, positive forces in Gaza other than Hamas, who will have a seat at the table, because it's absolutely essential they have a seat at the table, because history shows that anything like this that is imposed from the outside doesn't have much of a lifespan. And it really would be a wonderful turn if there would be non-Hamas Gazans who want to rebuild Gaza, and it's going to require an enormous financial undertaking to do this. Obviously, the Gazan civilian population has terribly suffered for the past 2 years. Long term, this is long term, and I don't know if the two of you know, but I was involved for a number of years in negotiating the implementation of the Oslo peace process between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. There will be endless roadblocks and hurdles and complications and negative forces. We all need to take a deep breath and understand this is a long-term process, but you're absolutely right. The next 96 hours are critical in terms of showing all involved that an agreement not only is signed, but is implemented. And again, as an Israeli, the return of the hostages, those alive and those who have been killed, is for us is an unimaginable moment after these awful 2 years. And I'm sure the same thing for the Gazan civilian population, that I'm sure will breathe a deep sigh of relief when the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, begins the process of withdrawing from Gaza. One of the questions that obviously needs to be determined is what's the extent of the withdrawal? Will it be 53%, 75%, 100%? Time will tell, but that too is a critical question in all this.
Professor Guiora, we've only got time for one more question and about a minute left, but what hurdles does Netanyahu need to still overcome to get this deal done? Do you think that he's got the support that he needs within his own administration?
No, within his own government, no, because the two right-wing parties will vote against it today, but there'll be support from the opposition, which will enable him to pass the necessary votes in the Knesset. The true hope for people of my ilk is that the government will ultimately fall before we have elections scheduled for October 2026. The hope is the government will fall before then. We'll have elections, and thereby begin turning the page, because the page can't be turned with him, because this is important for American audiences to understand. This was, pardon the expression, this was forced down his throat by President Trump, and that's why, as I said, 100% of the 80% of us well understand that all thanks are due to President Trump. We are a resilient people without a leader.
And can you just tell us quickly the number of hostages that are still remaining and maybe the number of Palestinian prisoners?
There are 48 Israeli hostages, 20 alive. I'm not good at math. That means 28 who have been killed. How many Palestinian prisoners? I think it's in the hundreds, I think, but I want to be careful with that, because I understand that there are a couple of key ones that primarily someone named Marwan Barghouti, where the Palestinians want his release, and Netanyahu so far is refusing. I don't know, again, why I say the next 96 hours are critical, but I can't imagine any of that being a stumbling block, because President Trump has not only put all of his weight behind this, but he has already accepted an invitation to come to Israel on Sunday to speak to the Knesset, the Israeli parliament. So Netanyahu has no choice but to go forward with however Trump wants this to go forward.
Interesting. Thank you, Professor. That's exciting news, and we can tell the optimism in your voice. But we'll watch the progress of that closely. Coming up,
just as a fact check, there are
absolutely.
thousands. There's a couple thousand Palestinian.
Yeah.
And as he suggested, the definition is still left to be defined.
Right. Yeah, and the devil's in the details. But
for sure,
this is a very good step.
Big step.
Yeah.